call to order at 6:30. And just do quick introductions.
Curtis Coleman, planning board.
Charlie Robitel, Selectman Representative.
Morris West, Vice Chair, Planning Board.
And if you just want to go through.
My name is Davis Bartlett. I'm from HEB Engineers.
William Hunt.
Julie Hunt,
Thomas Leach.
Jennifer Leach.
Thank you. So, the Hunt family is here for minor subdivision. We received their application and the application is complete. So their application is accepted as complete. And with that, unless planning board members have any questions, I'm just gonna open the public hearing and go into the minor subdivision, which is pretty straightforward. Unless anyone has anything else.
No.
Okay. Gonna open the public hearing at 6:32. And I'll turn it over to Mr. Bartlett.
So again, my name is Davis Bartlett from HEB Engineers. I'm representing the Hunts Hill 2-lot subdivision on Bald Hill Road. We're proposing to split off 2.13 acres from the parent lot of tax map 7 lot 120. That'll leave a remaining 4.25 acres.
Very straightforward.
Yeah.
Yep. And the proposed lot name is map 7 lot 120-1.
That seemed like a reasonable number for it.
Seems reasonable on my end too. I don't know if anyone else on the board has any thoughts on the naming of the new lot. So the existing lot is 120 and the new lot would be 120-1.
That's great.
Yep.
Yep, so we have all the boundary line setbacks, the relevant features on the ground, boulders, trees, streams, buildings. And I am not seeing anything that is prohibiting.
No.
When you do your driveway permit, just take a photocopy of this and just put that on the
Oh yeah,
application.
I'll go right in CAD and snip it out and put it on the
Yeah,
application.
just put it on that, and we can do it.
Beautiful.
The driveway will be, since that's a paved ditch, so you're gonna have to pave in the culvert. Or, cause if you're down, it would be a maintenance problem for everybody, so. It's pretty straightforward though. Now we have a tax map and a lot number, so you can get your driveway permit.
And Mr. Bartlett, you mentioned state approval, so you have applied for and are pending
Yeah,
state approval of the same subdivision.
yes.
Okay. Kelly, Morris, anything?
No.
Okay.
That's good.
All right, I will make a motion to accept the proposed subdivision, or minor subdivision and the creation of the new lot, map 7, lot 120-1, as presented.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. Let's take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries, unanimous. That's it?
Thank you.
Very
much.
Yep.
As soon as we
Anything
finish
else?
subdivision, we will bring you a Mylar and
Very
have
good.
everybody sign it.
Alright, lovely.
Excellent.
Alright,
Good luck.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
With that, we'll close the public hearing at 6:37.
Painless.
My record by 2 minutes.
Oh, come on.
Gotta work harder.
Great. Thank you very much,
You're
everyone.
welcome.
Thank you.
Have a good
Thank you.
night.
Thank you.
Thank you, all my
Best
new
of
neighbors.
luck.
Yeah,
Best
thanks.
of luck.
Thank you.
Alright, and then we go back to last month's minutes. Has everyone had a chance to read through?
I took a quick glance, looked fine to me. I can make a motion to approve as is.
Second that.
What was it? Ninth? Kelly second one?
Yes.
Alright, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Let's see. We do select board report and then we'll go into CIP, I think, unless there's other things that anyone wants to add. Okay. So, Kelly,
The only thing of interest would be, we met with the state at the last meeting for review of the Route 16 corridor improvements. We had 2 representatives from the state, and we had Representative McConkey, and we also had a representative from North Country Council.
Oh.
So, it's pretty much what I've reported before. They want to talk about cutting it into sections. Instead of doing the whole project a little bit, we're deciding to take, they're proposing 4 sections. They want us to say what's the most important section. So the 3 selectmen all together chose what came down to be section 2, and it's 2A, B, and C, and C would be half of C. So we're trying to get them to adjust the sections. They didn't know where to stop and start. So I'm trying to get it past Tanglewood at least, and before Pine Knoll Road. That seems to be that area that's the most congested. And the 3 of us felt that way. They're looking for backing from the town, and they're looking for backing from the select board. So they went away with that information. They're going to come back with hopefully a little jog in the section.
So Tanglewood to past Final Road, that section?
Yes. Right. And that corner at Tanglewood, that's really, they were gonna stop at Bald Hill, and that's just not far enough. That Tanglewood corner's worse than some of the other parts of it. So.
what is it, each section, what is happening in these sections?
That's the conversation. Right now, we have a speed limit at 50 miles per hour that they have no control over.
They have what?
They have no control over.
No control. The state has no control.
The state has
over this.
control over it, but not that division. this project was not, this project was created by Jack Rose back in the day. He was a selectman, and he was on North Country Council. I've dealt with them, and they come up with a safety design, which included widening the road a little bit where they could, line of sight, and rumble strips. That was the extent. And as I said before, when they started digging in deeper, they realized that there's concrete under the surface at various locations. That turns it into a much bigger project. So now it's a $9-point-some-odd million project that's up near 14, 15, 16, depending how far they go, left and right, north and south. So
Started at 9 million and now it's in the teens.
yeah, well, 9-point-something million over 10 years ago, and they try to account for that, but nobody knows how crazy prices get. So we're still a ways out. They have to have another public hearing soon. I'm thinking within the next month.
So the hearing at the select board's meeting was not the second public
No,
hearing?
no.
Was that a closed session? It was a,
It was open.
yeah.
Yeah. And it's video. You can watch it if you want. So, no, that was just kind of a preliminary, so we could all know what they were going to come in to discuss, and we'd have some heads up. And we have information that will be sent out like we did last time, so everyone has the idea of what they're thinking. It changes the numbers quite a bit depending on if they go further south, further north, if there's more land to take, if there's environmental issues, drainage issues. So the next meeting should hopefully sort that out. They'll ask the same questions, I'm sure. What they're trying to incorporate into it, because they did hear the people say that the speed was the issue, and turning was the second biggest issue.
Yeah.
So they're trying to come up with road conditions that would slow speed.
The Department of Safety affects the speed, right?
Right. And that, we've explained this before, it still makes no sense to me, that speed is dictated by the rate of speed currently being used. So if everyone feels comfortable driving 50 down the road, and when they check the speeds and 50 miles per hour is what everyone's doing, they go by how people react to the conditions. But the conditions dictate, believe it or not, that 50 miles per hour is the safe speed. So they go with that. So if they can construct the new road in such a way that people feel like they need to slow down, either by turning lanes, or they throw the word roundabout out there, and you're gonna hear it at the meeting just because they need to put it out there. A roundabout is a great method to slow traffic. Whether it's up there, quite a ways, or in front of you, even if you know what's coming, it slows traffic. I don't see it ever happening, but they're gonna throw it out there just so people know that it is a consideration. We don't have a four-way intersection in that stretch that would dictate a roundabout, because people aren't trying to get off at that rate. So
They did draw like 3 of them into it.
they did just for, just to excite people, I think. 'Cause once we saw it, we're like, that's never gonna happen, but they tried it, and they'll try it, and they're gonna give us all the information they can, and all the ideas they have, but, left-hand turn lanes are discussed quite a bit. The road widening, they hope, will give people the opportunity to get around. People trying to turn, I don't know about that, because the rear end accidents aren't caused by people trying to get around, they're caused by people actually hitting people.
Yeah.
So, they have quite a few ideas. Mark McConkey was very interested. He wants to see everything, because when it comes time, he's the guy that can go to the big shots and look for more money and appropriate money for the safety. When you say safety, people seem to listen. So he's been a big help. North Country Council, we're going to lean on them a bit more. If you see the meeting, I was pretty adamant that we're going to squeak a little louder to get some results, and maybe wake a few more people up at the state level that if they constantly hear this being talked about, then it might gather more attention, so. The select board as a whole is, and in case nobody knows, Jim Druin was sworn as our third selectman. And
Yep.
he's more or less a road guy too, so he understands the ins and outs of it, so.
Yeah.
That's where we're at, and when we get a schedule for the meeting, we'll put it out there, and we'll invite all the pertinent people.
Do we know, or have they presented where widening might happen?
We don't know, and they haven't presented. It's widening everywhere they can. They can't take too much. They're only talking 2 feet on either side most of the way. But if they have line of sight issues on some of the turns, they're gonna skew everything over. But until they know exactly where we're gonna concentrate, they're not gonna go into that study, because there will be land to take when they have to do that.
Yeah.
It won't be a lot, I don't believe, but some of the hills and some of the turns might
Yeah.
change quite a bit.
Some of the small lots, 2 feet is.
Yeah, it is, and I don't know what they get by square footage, but
Yeah.
we'll see what they offer.
They offer very little,
Yeah,
so,
For compensation.
no, it's
Yeah.
terrible.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
we'll see when that comes.
Yeah, New Hampshire is pretty, the laws for eminent domain, taking of land are not in the landowner's favor,
Mm.
so.
The other thing that that I didn't realize, and you probably did, is that that original design was designed to lead into the bypass when that was all active. So the whole planning of this section was to get people onto that bypass, which isn't happening. So that changes the idea of it a lot more. And there was a lot of talk again of the Route 13, 16 exit, and we're still saying that's going to be a separate project that we're going to try to push quicker.
An exit onto 113.
Well, 113 intersection, it's
We're at the 16 and 113 by our office.
Yeah. Make that a more of a ramp
well.
or something.
However they do it, it's not going to be taking money from this project,
I see.
because if they divert money down to that, it's going to really
Eat up
less
the
than
whole
what we
thing.
get. Yeah, so we got to think of that as a totally separate.
Yeah.
And work on that. HEB is I believe, the engineer of record for the state. They just got the new contract, I believe. So we're going to move forward with them engineering something for the state to look at. That's the first step. So we're following the steps right now.
Yeah.
So that's going to be actively happening here pretty soon.
The project by our office is a huge thing too.
Probably.
To fix that intersection is a pretty big undertaking
Oh, yeah.
itself, yeah.
If they push the intersection back to where it incorporates the bridge, it gets really big. That's what they're talking about, is if they have to skew it where that bridge no longer works, then they have to re-bridge.
Or bridge.
The bridge down further where the water flows freely. Right down 113,
Oh.
yeah, the little bridge.
Yeah.
Because if they've thrown things out, I don't know if you've heard them, but they've thrown out taking one of your buildings and moving everything up above your maintenance building up there and coming up the hill and making it's a lot of ideas right now, and I can't imagine where they're coming from. But there are no small projects.
There's no, yeah.
Because I pushed the idea of doing something right away to make it safer, and they said, we can look into it, but until the big project happens.
I would assume they will just take out about 20 feet elevation by that hillside building
Yeah.
and put a light at the base of Wildwood and try to square up that.
That's the
13,
idea.
So you don't have the hill. You're gonna just take the hill out of it and then put a 4-way light system right there.
I mentioned to them that the Kank has a light, and there's far less traffic coming off the Kank than there is coming out of 113. And they have a huge intersection with lights, and you never see very little coming out of there. So this is a much more important intersection.
Yeah.
Maybe not so much because it's not leading into the national forest, but there should be a light of some sort.
Yeah.
That's
I agree.
Or the roundabout there.
around, that they
Tough. You
can't.
need a lot of room for those.
Yeah, and there's a lot of hill in there, and they'd love to square it with Wildwood. That was the first thought, was bringing it down lower to square it with Wildwood, to have a four-way intersection and light it that way. They haven't come up with it. That's why we need HEB to really look at it.
Yeah.
There's money for that through North Country Council, so we'll eat their money up and get a design going.
And it's Department of Safety, you said? That is
Department of
speed?
Safety does
Speed?
the speed.
Yeah.
Usually they're the ones that would change the speed in a zone, so the state troopers.
They'll do a traffic study, which I'm sure they have, and I think they did a traffic study on 113 not too long ago. But that's what it all comes down to. When the traffic study says everyone's going 50 and everyone's smiling, I
Yeah.
say that's a good speed limit. They don't. There's no other real way to ascertain it.
I just still wonder about town meeting or the next, part 2 of the public
Mhm.
hearing of just, it seemed pretty unanimous from the citizens of Albany that they wanted to lower speed limit, just presenting on the floor and saying, take a vote.
We could do, and I don't know if this is a forum, but I mean, a warrant article could be written to give the state, the town's opinion. And nothing would be binding, obviously,
Right.
but we could do a warrant article, and if the people wanted to vote for it, it could send the state a message.
It's a warrant article for their consideration.
Yeah.
And
I think if that
We've done that
second
before.
meeting happens before a March meeting, that would be great to kind of have a floor vote at that second meeting.
Yeah. Oh, would certainly get it.
Then it could,
Yeah.
at town meeting, it would, have the floor vote again, it would carry.
We're gonna have. There's a new guy that just took over that position. I forget the last guy's name, but there's a new guy that took over the speed enforcement of that division. So we're gonna invite him to the next meeting and put him on the spot.
For the sheriff's office or for state?
No, for the state.
Department of Safety.
Department of Safety with the state. And
Oh, the state at large for speed.
yeah, and really have him explain how this can be this way.
Yeah.
So we're planning another big get together. We'll see how it goes. And that's the doings there.
Would that meeting be before town meeting?
I don't know if by right it has to be, but that's the way they had it planned out, was to have one. It was supposed to be October, November.
Yeah.
So
I'm hopeful for exactly that scenario where we have the second meeting,
yeah,
have a floor vote, and then it's already kind of predetermined for town meeting to.
I don't think a lot of us. I didn't know, and I don't think a lot of us knew that at that last meeting there were representatives in the room that we never knew. Like we have 2 state reps now, and I couldn't tell you their names if I saw them. And
Yeah.
they were at the meet because it was an election year. They were all there. I didn't meet them. I didn't know who they were. I found out afterwards they were actually present. But I think, and I mentioned it in select meetings, that we need to give them some information so that they are our reps, even though I wouldn't recognize them.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to just get more people talking about it,
More about
and they'll be invited to the next meeting too. It's just a matter of keeping a kind of a whirlwind going around it. Don't let anybody forget.
You need to donate to them, and then they'll
Yeah,
come see you.
Yeah, exactly. You know how it works.
Okay.
But no, we're not dropping the ball. We're gonna keep riding it.
Great. Thank you.
That's what we got. Yeah.
Alright. Thank you. So then it's CIP and. Oh, thought I had it. So we're just kind of picking up where we were. We had a little preliminary discussion last month. It'd be great to finish this and vote on it so we can send it forward to the select board in a timely fashion. My apologies, I did not request to get the current balances, so we don't have the current balances. I do have the balances as of last year. I can pull up. So we can do comparison if we want to, just to kind of get what the balances were at least a year ago. But we're back to kind of the general discussion of just going through each one. And know if anyone has any further information to add. I think the one that we talked about getting some additional information was the bridge, Drake Hill Bridge
I
design,
haven't gotten that yet.
a ballpark number that maybe makes sense.
Yes. Yeah, I know.
And in talking with Kelly Collins, she said that this 80-20 fund doesn't exist anymore. That it got overspent and just shut down because it got blown out, basically. And so that program, as per her understanding, it's not there. So right now, if it came to Drake Hill, it's just on us.
Didn't hear that.
That's news to me.
Yeah.
So it would be the Capital Highway Reserve Fund, Drake Hill Road. So that's if
That's
that
news
is
to you.
accurate, that's news to me.
Yeah.
I don't know that.
It was what she was sharing with me.
I don't know where it would have gone.
She said it was there was an outgoing person and an incoming person, and in that transition, whatever their budget was, they just spent it and then some, and then there's just no more money in the fund, and it didn't get refunded, and that is no longer it's not a grant fund that you can apply for anymore. This was, but I believe Kelly. Totally.
Oh, yeah.
I just can't speak to the details of it because
Maybe we need some clarification with that. And maybe they scrapped the program that, I don't know.
Sounds
I
more
didn't
like it.
hear that.
No, not that did announce it, but the programs always go by the wayside.
and that's what she said. It had,
No.
this has kind of happened before, and then it came again under a slightly different name. It was basically the same program. And maybe that'll happen in the future, but as for her understanding right now, that fund doesn't actually exist, or is non-functional
The fund doesn't exist on the state side.
stateside.
So, but our fund on our side exists.
The money we've been
So,
saving.
okay. Okay.
I was looking
All
at
right,
that.
all right, all right.
When
Yeah.
You said an outgoing
The state-
person, I thought you meant in
Okay,
here.
well, so, yes,
state
they
program.
they kind of iced the program
Mm.
to maybe bring it back when they had the ability to do that. But we were gonna, and you can speak on this, we were still saving like that thing, like it was
Yes.
coming back and we were still in line because we didn't want to lose it. If they brought it back, then we would still be in line to
Okay, yes.
to have the process.
The
go
idea
through.
was if and when it comes back, we're shovel ready, we'll be higher on the list. And that's
So-
why we need to keep it funded so that we're ready
All right.
to go and then not asking people. We can just say, yeah, we're ready, we can take it, so.
Or we can, if that fund we find out down the road is gonna be forever gone,
Mm.
we can use, the town can decide to use those funds to rehabilitate the bridge for probably a lesser amount.
Yeah.
So, I mean, no matter what, it gives us an option.
Right.
Investing for the future.
Right.
Either way.
Right.
Well, I'm just going to start at the top, unless there's any reason to do otherwise. I know we were just talking Drake Hill, but Chapel Capital Reserve Fund, a target of 50,000, and as of last year, it had 18,000 in it, and we're adding 1,000 a year, so it's around 19 or 20 presumably. I don't think anything's been spent out of the Chapel Reserve Fund, so it's probably around 20,000. And the plan is just to add 1,000 unless we see reason to change that.
I think we're still trying to own the chapel. I think we're very close now. I don't know if you've heard the whole story, but we don't completely own the chapel as a town. It still belongs to, and I don't know the name of it, but a preschool from 1930s, like a long time ago. This is all
Oh my gosh.
numbers I'm throwing out there, but the concept is they owned the chapel. They ran its school out of it,
Yeah.
and we never officially bought it from them
Yeah.
completely. So we can't do any work to it legally, even though we, upkeep and things. So we got to do the chapel. The roof needs work, and it's with the lawyers, and the lawyers working it out. It's going to happen, but
Yeah.
they got to research so far back. to make sure that nobody still has claim to it.
Yep.
Before we invest money into it, so it's a legal thing right now, it's not a big deal the way I see it, I think they're really close to just saying, signing off on it, and it's ours.
Yeah.
So when that happens, we're probably gonna move forward with repairs, so, I'm throwing it out there, but it's probably become a warrant. The money that we have, we'll find out what the real number is and put together some kind of warrant to get the work done. And without speaking with the other two, that's the way I would go at it. Keep putting 1,000 in for good measure.
That was kind of the question, that, you know, a roof is, you know, this target was 50,000, we're probably around 20.
Yeah.
20 seems like a probably insufficient amount to do a steeple roof. I don't know, just guessing.
I don't know.
Seems like it's extra cost because it's extra danger and all that kind of stuff.
I think it depends on what's wrong with it.
Yeah.
If it's
I
just to
don't know.
re-shingle it, I'm sure they could do it for $20,000,
Yeah.
but if there's more to it,
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're not maybe terribly far off.
if they just needed shingles.
I don't know that was before my time, you're right. I don't know the extent of it. I know we've talked about it for a long time.
Yeah.
But, that's kind of where that lays.
Okay. We had, when Adrian Simons was on the board 3-4 years ago, he did go up and look at it and gave kind of a assessment that, you know, there's no obvious leaks and it's hanging in there
Yeah.
okay, basically.
Right.
Was the synopsis. So nothing obviously catastrophic, no obvious leaks, no obvious rot. So that was encouraging, but it wasn't like a full report or something. Okay, so we'll just leave that at 1,000.
Yeah. Carry on.
Carry on. Town Hall Property Capital Reserve Fund, so whatever the town hall might need. So this one's probably around 15,000, or no. This got 6,000 from last year, so it could be up to 20,000 or so, unless money's been spent from it this past year. And does that seem adequate for what the town hall might be needing?
Yeah, I don't know. Nothing catastrophic.
Okay.
I think.
No new systems that are definitely needed?
No. We just took stuff for the kitchens in there. We maybe we'll peck away at stuff. I think we did have money to do outside work, which didn't get done this year. So that was a warrant, right? To do I think that was a warrant. I can't remember.
I don't recall.
I don't remember a warrant for.
We did appropriate additional funds to do some
There's a
landscape.
town report right up there if you want. Morris, you want to grab the town report under that last name? Flip through.
This one is,
Oh, is that dated?
2019, this is
Oh.
2022, is that? Yeah.
Or out, maybe out there?
I think so.
But are you feeling like this is having something around 20,000 and adding 6,000 a year?
Yeah, I guess my choice.
Yeah.
This one's. John?
There hasn't been any talk of anything on our minds to do.
Article 8.
Went right to it, didn't you?
See if the town, page 6, Article 8. See if the town vote to raise the sum of 20,000 to perform town hall and town hall property upgrades and withdraw 14,000 from the town hall capital reserve fund. Okay, so it's down 14,000. Oh, that was pretty much the total balance. Okay, so this past year spent 34,000 on town hall. I think that was for heating system.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think.
So that would put our CIP fund, you know, right around 0. So, if that's the case,
That's if it's expended, I don't think it is.
I don't think
because there-
expended.
because the work didn't get done.
Well, I don't know about inside the building, but there was nothing that happened outside the building.
No.
Because it was a design issue and I think the board, didn't the board reach out to try to get some design ideas and?
Yeah, we never got it accomplished. I think if anything, we'd come to that to try it again next year.
Huh. So the 20,000 that got raised on Article 8 would then just be sitting in general fund?
That's
Or
what I'm
would it
thinking.
have gone into town hall property capital reserve fund.
No, it should stay there until decision's either spent or we make a decision on what to do with it.
The balance of this fund would stay there, which is 14,000. But there's this additional 20,000 that got raised as part of Article 8. So would that sit in general fund? I guess that's a question.
I don't. I think if it's appropriate as a warrant article, we have the opportunity to encumber that to do the work next year. So we have not done that.
So where would that money be, that 20,000?
Unspent,
In which account?
I don't know. That's something for Kelly to answer, not me. That's my thought on it,
Yeah, okay,
without actually knowing. I just know the work wasn't performed.
okay.
We did heat work, we did,
You had air conditioning, heat.
yeah. That was about it.
Didn't you have to do some electrical?
Yeah, it was minor though, I thought. We had electrical because it didn't jive with the generator.
All right, I'll follow up with Kelly and the treasurers to find out what the status of
Yeah.
that one is.
I don't know.
So absent that information, what our default thing here is to add 6,000 a year. That's what it's been.
That's what it should be.
Keep it what it is, okay. All right, next, public safety, emergency management expendable capital reserve fund. This should have a balance of about 4,000, I suppose. Adding 1,000 a year with a target of 6,000, so we're not that far from the target. And this is basically for when the town might become a shelter in the case of a disaster.
If,
This kind of
yeah,
things.
if and when.
Yeah.
And stay the course with that too.
All right, highway expendable trust fund, target of 1.3 million, a balance of 251 as of last year. I think a good bit of this got spent for paving.
So that's a capital highway.
Highway expendable trust fund.
So I think some of that was pulled out to deal with some of our storm damage.
Mm-hmm.
So I would think that that's probably about $85,000 less than what you're showing.
Mm-hmm. So it wasn't for paving, just for the storm damage?
No, it was just like a savings account for the highway.
Yeah. And the original intent of this was for Pascomway Road.
Right. Well, for any projects that the town saw fit, that
Mhm.
you know, it gave a capital reserve fund, so that's what it is.
Could be for anything.
Could
yeah.
be for anything. Exactly what we used it for. You know, when we had all that damage in the feds haven't declared it an emergency, so there's no funding yet.
Yeah.
So we're just kind of waiting on that. Sometimes they don't do it for a year or two. So.
But to get reimbursed for what was spent.
Yeah,
for
so
it.
because it was about $90,000 worth of damage, they moved that to pay for that out of the capital highway reserve fund. So the board did.
Yeah.
So
Just to keep your budget intact.
Who tracks when and if the state declares it an emergency and then reimburses?
well, Kelly keeps. We met with FEMA.
Okay.
We walked and surveyed the damage with FEMA.
Yeah.
And they brought so it goes by the county. They brought all the damage within Carroll County back to their headquarters in Concord and
See if it meets
see
that
if it
criteria.
meets and see if, essentially President Biden will declare it as a disaster, then the fundings will become available. So we've done all the paperwork,
Yeah.
we've done all the spreadsheets and all the stuff they've asked. We're just waiting.
Did you have to do anything for July storm?
No. We didn't have any damage.
July got declared.
We got all the damage in. We got all the damage in.
Damage was done. So, so this may be some 85,000 less. 60,000 a year has been the allocation. More or less, same. I don't know.
I don't know.
I think we should stay with the same, but
Yeah. We need to get it back up where it was, but I don't see the money coming from the state, from what I'm
the
hearing.
feds.
The feds, yeah.
For this recent storm damage?
For that
For the May storm, yeah, I agree with Kelly. I
Because
don't
they've
see-
declared July, and
Yeah.
they're paying on July, and they just kind of looked right past May.
Yeah.
So, strange things happen, but
Yeah.
the word on the street is they're not gonna, don't bank on it, which we shouldn't anyway, 'cause nothing's guaranteed until it's guaranteed. Yeah, I would stay with the same number. I don't think it's gonna.
Yeah, because we're gonna go there. You know, this isn't really for maybe not for CIP, but I mean, there's gonna be money left over in the highway budget. So some of this is gonna rectify itself.
Mm-hmm.
So the money that was moved in the highway budget from the reserve fund to take care of the storm damage, there'll be some excess in the normal highway budget.
Yeah.
It would be under. So however the board wants to deal with that, maybe that will go back in. I don't know how you guys are gonna deal with that. That's a selectman issue.
Yeah.
And when the repairs happened, is it like larger culverts than they were before?
Yeah, so we do, well, I mean, it depends, but we do a lot of stoning. Yes, if a culvert washes out, we always upsize it if we can.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes you can't,
Yeah.
but we were able to on this last one.
Yeah.
And that's what FEMA requires, you know, a smooth wall, new culvert, bigger size, riprap.
Yeah.
That's what they require to pay. And went through it like 16 or 17 years ago.
Yeah.
So I kind of knew what they would pay.
Mhm.
So we did exactly what I thought they would pay if they declared it damaged.
Yeah.
But in the long run for the town, it's good for the town anyway.
Yeah.
So.
That was kind of the question is, you know, if we're having more storm events and this kind of thing, does this number need to go up? Or are we comfortable with it?
I don't
Just keep
see it
where is?
really. I mean, we dealt with that July storm great.
Yeah.
So I think Albany is in pretty good
There's
shape.
always some storms that you just can't. There's too much of a storm, and that was too much of a storm.
Yeah, I mean, we got like 4 inches of rain in like a few
This- with the-
hours in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
So no one was, you know, even if there was a problem, we didn't know what was going on. You know, it's not that you usually can stop it, but if you're right there, you might be able to help it.
Yeah. Throw some boulders in there.
Yeah, yeah. Throw a Hail Mary.
Yeah.
Okay. Leave it at 60.
Yeah.
So then, yeah, back to Drake Hill. That's at 8,000. So if that hasn't been touched, that's, you know, somewhere around 90,000, just short of 90,000 right now. And I was thinking about this more. You said this thing about design, all the costs are in the design, and if you got $750,000, you get a $750,000 bridge. If you got $1 million, you get $1 million bridge. Is that?
Yeah.
Is it just that you get a fancier bridge? I mean, what's the like? I guess I'm just trying to understand how that goes. Like, don't you?
I guess it depends on what type of bridge you want.
Right. You can spend as much as you want, right?
I think you can spend more on certain designs than others.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's.
So I guess hopefully we'll vote on this and be done with it. But it would be good to, if you can find out kind of what is a reasonable estimate to do a full replacement of Drake Hill. And then I guess the second thing would be if that fund doesn't exist, what's the estimate for whatever repairs?
To pay for it 100% by the town dollar.
Right,
Yeah.
and to do just repairs, not full replacement. Because you're saying that's basically like option B.
Well, I just put that out there. If we have no ability and the bridge is in a certain
unsafe.
unsafe manner. There are we're just going to have to do certain things. So then, what can we do to help work on it? You know, but that would be some, you know, that'd be some engineering involved with that. Not really me.
Mm.
So, you know, but I can ask again. The problem with it is no one's going to really want to give an estimate without a design.
Right. Yeah.
So, but I could see if we could.
And there's not a way to just say like, you know, take that existing design and do something similar, and
But they're gonna have to design.
you gotta design it to run the numbers. Yeah.
But I could ask again. Let me ask again.
If we get something, because I honestly don't know where this number 754.
That was the original estimate of what, through discussion with HEB in the town, probably 10 years ago,
Okay.
came up with.
So it's not unreasonable to think it might be 25% higher, given that everything's about 20. You know, like.
Yeah, I mean, the way you get into, if you're taking federal, state or federal money for this, right? So if it's a federal grant that comes in, it has some state money involved in it, there's going to have to be a design that's approved
Yeah.
by them. So usually I would suspect that that design would be a lot more than if the town of Albany was to go out and design it themselves.
Mhm.
And we could design what we can afford. Obviously, the federal government, through with the state, the two agencies, are going to design something that has that is probably pretty extensive.
Yeah.
But if the town of Albany has this much money, well,
We'll make it work.
we're going to design it. I could say structure at this much, right? So usually the feds design something that's 100-year
It's no
plus.
small projects.
Yeah, there's nothing small. I think Albany would be a little different. I think we could
Yeah.
be a little smarter with it
Mhm.
if it's, you know, if we're getting no
It's
help,
just
because
on
we would
us.
have to be.
Yeah.
So, you know. So it's just one of those things that's hard.
Yeah.
But I will ask HEB again.
It's hard. And then this amount, 8,000 a year, seems like a small, to me, that seems like a small amount for a $750,000 thing. But again, it's premised on an 80-20 match, so the town part, should this 80-20 thing exist, based on a $754,000 bridge is $150,000. In which case, we're 2/3 of the way there.
Let me ask you this. Is that spread listed?
Yes.
Who's to say when it's done? Like, who's to say when you gotta replace that bridge this year?
The town.
The town was,
I mean, the state inspects it. But
I mean, we could say we got 10 more years, we could say we have 2 more years. Who's to say when the deadline is to raising that money that now we have to do it?
So the state won't condemn it?
I've never seen that.
Yeah.
It's not on the
That's what
town.
you're basically
Yeah, I'm
asking,
saying,
like, who would condemn
are we
it?
up against something where we better put more money quickly because we only got 5 years left of the bridge, or 10 or 20? Who is there an entity that says you gotta fix it?
Well, I think there's a lot more dire bridges that are
Well, that's what I'm thinking.
in the state than that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I wouldn't.
So we can continue on.
I'm not worried about that.
Okay.
We can
You know,
continue on chipping away at it and not worry about, man, we gotta ramp this up because we're coming to the end. There's no, I'm sure there's permitting for that, but.
It's minimal.
So I'd be fine with the same amount, and just keep socking it away.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Cemetery expendable trust fund, a target of 25,000. Balance last year was 23, adding 1,000 a year. I don't think anything's been spent on cemeteries, so
I'm good with that.
that's probably pretty well balanced. And then the revaluation trust fund, a target of 20, a balance of 11, and adding 3,500 a year. And that is every, how many, was it every 5 years? When there's the reevaluation, oh, was it every 3 years? What I remember is we calculated it out to cover the periodic withdraw, which I think it was every 3 years, where there's a reevaluation. Does that sound right?
Yeah, I don't know. It may be, I'm not sure, I couldn't say. But I was gonna ask that, so this has all been calculated to where so much per year for so many years we hit the target.
To keep things on target.
Yeah.
That's what we had calculated it last year. I don't have a new calculation, so
Yeah.
just say stick with it. Okay, so we were saying leave it as is, no changes to the projected amounts.
Mhm.
So we'll just get an updated current balance. But I think what we can do is I'll make the proposal, or what am I saying? I make the motion to accept CIP for 2024 as presented, and it's the same amounts as 2023, same funding rates.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Alright. Oh yes, certified mail. Alright, so we just had this public hearing. We asked for reimbursement for certified mail at $7 or something. What is it? Yeah, at $7 per mailing. And the Postal Service is now charging $8.56. So I'm proposing that we just change it to $9, so that we're not losing money on any future certified mailings we have to do.
Do you wanna change it to just like 10 and then it will last for a little while? I
So-
mean, are you covering all the letterhead, are you covering everything like that, or is it?
That's covered in other. What is it?
Oh, okay.
I think it's. So the notice to the Sun is itemized, the mailings are itemized. Doing a boundary line adjustment is just costs $100, and I think that's kind of the rest of the stuff.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, that does make some sense to maybe just say 10. Is that unreasonable?
I think it's fair.
10?
Yeah.
Okay. Alright.
You gonna make a motion?
I'll make a motion to raise the, what is it called exactly? The certified mail per abutter fee, which was $7, to raise it to $10 per.
I'll second it.
Discussion? None? All those in favor?
Aye.
And that might be about it. And a table zoning map discussion, ordinances. And code enforcement, that's, I'm just gonna say it. and
We've been
that's the end of
talking
the
about it.
discussion. I
Yeah.
don't know.
We came up at the last meeting and we're gonna approach a couple of people on their availability.
Oh, great.
It's more pertaining to a few things that are going on, and then see if it works into a full-time deal, so.
So targeted items, not just.
There's a few things that needed immediate attention,
Mhm, yeah.
and would like them to at least, and to figure out how to, it's gonna be a monthly stipend or per inspection, or a few things we gotta work out, so.
Yeah.
We did have an early discussion on it.
Okay. Great.
Yeah.
All right. That's all I have. Anyone else?
What is the frontage required for a lot for a driveway? I tried to look it up quickly while that meeting was going on. I couldn't
Yep.
find it.
That's a good question. I would
Someone
need to look it up
in
as
the town had asked.
well. Yeah.
220, 200, 200?
Well, so the way it works is, if it's a non-conforming lot and there's no driveway, but, I mean, so that kind of is a moot point, right?
Mhm.
Because we have to allow access to, people have to have access to their property. So you really can't, but I believe that's right there, it's 200 feet, I think.
Yeah, that's what I
think
was
it's
thinking it was.
Um,
It was 200
I
feet.
don't know, but it's right there on the town website.
Frontage. Yeah. So residential zone, 2 acre minimum and a 200 contiguous feet of road.
Yeah, yeah. I thought so. Okay.
But that's kind of, you just be careful with that because, like I said, if you have a lot up in, say, Wildwood and it's only 78 feet and it's not built on, but you can meet the setbacks to build on it,
Right.
I'll have to give you a driveway permit.
Right.
So it's,
Yep.
Lot of record.
The-
So any lot
Yeah,
of
no.
record.
yeah, anything a lot of
This-
record. Pre-existing non-conforming lot of record, you have to give that a driveway, so.
Yeah. This person in the town was more concerned about something like the mobile home park that we put in. What's that? A major subdivision as compared to a minor subdivision.
That would be a major subdivision.
I think so, right?
3 or more.
Yeah.
More than 3 is
Yeah.
major.
No, exactly.
3 is the most you can have for a minor subdivision.
So that's easy, so then that falls into just the 2 acre minimum, 200 for the frontage. That stuff, anything new is easy.
And then there's this part C of the ordinance here, as the passage of this amendment. The subdivision of a lot with less than 200 contiguous feet of frontage on an existing state highway or town road shall be permitted subject to the following, and there's all these things. But it basically comes down to you only need 50 feet if you're doing a subdivision, which is interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know why the ordinances are written this way, but this is how it reads. So if you want to do a subdivision and you have less than 200, as long as you have 50, shall be required. You have to meet subdivision regulations, you have to get planning board approval. The 50 feet shall be a right-of-way and approved by the selectmen, and each lot within the subdivision shall have 200 feet of contiguous frontage on the new road that's created or new right-of-way. So it's an interesting one where for a single residence, 2 acre lot, you need 200, but if you're subdividing, you only need 50
You're off the original town road
Off the
to
original
go
town road.
into it, but
to make a road that then has multiple
then all the
200
2 acre
foot.
lots have to have the
200 feet after that.
I
Yeah.
can see that.
It's kind of like if someone has a little strip access to the main road, they can make a big subdivision up behind something.
That's interesting.
That's interesting. So there's these kind of things I think on meetings where we don't have things and we didn't fill an hour,
Yeah.
and we don't. I think we just read through the ordinances and kind of see what makes sense and what doesn't. I don't know if that actually really makes. Maybe it does make sense, but
I don't know.
something to think through.
Well, what I think in the spirit of it is that you say you have a 300-acre lot
yeah,
that has 75 feet of frontage on a town road.
Yeah.
Well, those people, they would, if you own that lot, you would expect, you would think that you could subdivide that lot. So,
Yeah.
that's probably why it's there. So,
Yeah.
and if you change that, it drastically changes the value of that lot.
yes.
So
If
that's where, it's,
comes into play.
that's where it comes into play. So,
Have you heard anything about the Habitat for Humanity lot down there?
I saw an excavator sitting out there, but I haven't seen anything. I mean, they haven't subdivided anything, right?
No,
Yeah,
that's
so
what
I
I'm
don't know.
wondering. Because that could be one of those deals where they only have a small entrance, but then, because I don't know how many houses they put.
They have a lot of frontage, so the last time I'd heard about that was they talked about to get around the fact they had to build a town road in there, they were gonna subdivide it and then do 2 different driveways off of it, which can service 4 lots.
Make it into 4 lots.
Right off the
2 of
road.
the
Right
lots
off
get
it,
one
so-
driveway, and the other 2 get
Yeah.
the other driveway.
So they didn't have to put a
So
road.
a driveway serves 2 residences, and
Yeah.
a driveway serves the other 2.
And we wouldn't have a whole lot to say about anything except for the subdivision.
And that's right in this part as well. That thing about
Because the driveways would be.
I guess I was
Number
thinking there's so
5.
much land back there.
a 50-foot right of way
Let
which
it
serves
sit.
as driveway for no more than 2 dwellings
Past
shall
the
not be
fields or whatever.
required. Right. And so if you do that, you don't have to build to Albany street standards. You can just build a driveway.
Right, okay.
So it's the cheap option to get
You'd get 4 lots. out of it.
per driveway 2 houses. So 2
That's
driveways.
Well, that's what I have with my neighbor. We have 1 driveway, 2 houses.
Yeah.
So,
Unfortunately.
but
All right. Well, that's all I got.
okay.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I can second.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Meeting adjourned at 7:32.